I'm really sorry about my dogs just not knowing what they want or where they're going in this video. They're just going to be kind of everywhere. So if what I'm talking about is boring, then at least you can look at them because they're really cute. Hello and welcome to the vlog. Today I'm going to be doing a first trimester recap / frequently asked questions. Oh, by the way, I'm pregnant. So currently I'm about 25 weeks. So this is my little bump that I have going on. Technically, my first trimester ended at 13 weeks, so kind of a long time ago. And I'm just now getting around to making this video. I feel like it's easier now that I'm out of the first trimester, like far out of it, that I'm able to look back on it and have coherent answers to questions that people ask me instead of me being like, I don't know, I'm just tired all the time. So these are questions that people commonly ask me when I tell them I'm pregnant and when they ask me how I did in my first trimester. So this is kind of how I'm recapping. So the first question I get asked a lot is, did you plan for this baby? And technically, I guess the most honest answer is no. I am 22, currently working on my bachelor's degree. So as you can imagine, it is kind of a young and hectic time to have a baby. So I would have preferred to have wait. However, my mom always says that it's not in my time, it is in God's. Pepper. And there are definitely perks to being a young mother that I had to kind of see the silver lining in. So hopefully with being young comes flexibility and I will be able to keep up with my baby, my body will recover quicker. So these are just a couple silver linings that I had to see in having a baby young and having a surprise baby. The second question I get asked a lot is, how did you find out you were pregnant? Is that your toy? So one thing that I recommend all women to do is to have a period tracker, whether it be like on a physical calendar or in your phone. I use the app Clue, just the free version, not the fancy one that YouTubers try to sell you a promo code for. So that was an easy way for me to keep track of how many days my period usually lasted, how my flow looked, what days I had my period, and after a couple cycles, it becomes pretty accurate as when you should be expecting it. And I used that for about a year before this pregnancy. So the way I found out I was pregnant was actually through my app. I knew what day I was supposed to be getting my period. And when that day did not happen, I was able to recognize, oh, I'm late. And it was one day, and then one day turned to 2 days, and then eventually it was 4 days until I decided that it wasn't just an off cycle or something like that, and I took a test. Also, my breasts were really tender at that time, and that is one of the earliest signs of pregnancy, and that's all I had. When I took my test, I was maybe only 3 weeks in, and that was all I had. I only knew I was pregnant because of my tender breasts and because my period tracker had brought to my attention that my period was late. So if you aren't already, girls, do keep a period tracker. It is very important. Even if you're not trying to get pregnant or anything like that, anytime you'll go to the doctor, they'll ask you when your last cycle is, and it's really helpful to them if you have a date and they're able to see the weeks and the duration of your period as well. Third question I get asked is, how did you tell Nick? So Nick is my beautiful and wonderful husband. He's so handsome. And he found out the same time I did. I'm very unfiltered, as a lot of people who know me in my personal life will say. And so when I was a day late, he knew. And when I was 4 days late, he was the one where he's like, you're pregnant. And I was like, oh no, it's stress. It's something else. I'm not pregnant. And he kept telling me I was, and he was there when I took the test. And so we found out together. The fourth question I get asked a lot, and it's actually the first question that women ask me when they first find out that I'm pregnant, is, were you sick? Did you have morning sickness? And I think that's something that a lot of women fear, because no one likes throwing up. It's the worst thing in the world, and it's terrible. But in that respect of actually vomiting, no, I did not have any morning sickness. I did not vomit one time in my first trimester. And so I'm really lucky in that, and I'm like I'm an uncommon case. Everyone throws up, I just didn't. So don't look at me as a sample. So I was really lucky that I didn't actually vomit and have that sort of sickness. However, I will say that I had really strong food aversions to literally everything in my first trimester. Just hot food, food that had a really strong smell, food that wasn't minestrone soup. I did not want it. I had 2 bites and I was done. And that was really hard, because I actually lost 5 pounds in my first trimester, not because I was vomiting and dehydrated or sick in that way, but because I just didn't want to eat. Eating was really difficult. And so in my first doctor's appointment, they were just kind of like, hey girl, we see that you're not eating. You need to eat. If I were to eat, it would make me feel sick. And of course I didn't want to feel sick, so I just wouldn't eat. But if I don't eat, I don't grow and the baby doesn't grow. So it was a whole thing, and I had to overcome it and eat what I could, even if that meant like 4 granola bars and some toast. And the hardest part of the food aversion was that I personally love to eat. Like eating, like going out to eat, trying different foods. I love that. That's my favorite thing. I love to eat. And so to not be able to eat for 3 months was the worst thing ever. And yes, I didn't vomit and I wasn't sick in that way, but anything I put in my mouth made me want to be sick. So that was really hard. And then the second question I get asked in regards to like morning sickness and just like general pregnancy things is, what did you crave? I think it's a product of Hollywood where morning sickness is the first sign of pregnancy, which it isn't always, and that pregnant women always have to crave something. Like pickles and sauerkraut, pickles and ice cream, something like that. I don't know. Pickles are still gross, so I'm normal in that sense. What I did crave in the first trimester was minestrone soup and steamed vegetables with salt and pepper on it. I think I just wanted vegetables and the broth from the minestrone, just like that salt in my mouth. That was the only thing that sounded good. But even after I ate 2 bites of minestrone, I was like, I'm done. It tastes really good, but I'm done. Thanks, food aversion. One thing that I didn't crave and that I had a really strong aversion to was chocolate. And that was really sad, because before pregnancy, I loved chocolate. Brownies, ice cream, cake, all the chocolate things. And then when I got pregnant in my first trimester, I was like, chocolate is disgusting. Like, I couldn't even eat cookies and cream ice cream, which is one of my favorites, because chocolate, it was gross. I didn't want any of it. Hi, Nenny. Now chocolate's okay. It was more of a first trimester aversion. I mean, I'm still not gonna go out and eat a brownie, but chocolate chip cookies, those are good. Another common question I get asked is, what was the hardest part? The hardest part is Pepper not keeping still. What was the hardest part? So the hardest part of the first trimester, other than the food aversion, because I talked a lot about that, I also had extreme fatigue. Part of it was from iron deficiency anemia. So I believe that before I got pregnant, I had some sort of iron deficiency. My sister does, my mom does. I just was like never tested for it or done anything with it. But that first like 8-week doctor's appointment, I went in and you pee in a cup, they take your blood, and they're just kind of like, hey girl, you should have been on iron pills yesterday. You need iron very badly. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And before I was on the iron supplement, I would sleep from 8 o'clock at night until 5 in the morning, and I would still wake up exhausted. So that was really hard. Also, my lifestyle contributed to the fatigue a lot, I think. In the first trimester, I was taking 18 credits at school, which is a full course load. I worked 25 to 30 hours a week at my job, and it was just really hard to keep up. And I was already tired from being pregnant and growing the placenta. Did you know that's why you're tired in the first trimester? You're not only growing the baby, you're growing the organ that keeps your baby alive. So that's why. Another hard part of my first trimester was just trying to stay focused. Because I would be so tired from work or school, I didn't want to come home and do homework. I didn't want to come home and take care of responsibilities like laundry or interacting with my husband. Another difficult thing in my first trimester was trying to adjust the vision of my life to fit a baby in there. Now, I feel like this is only something that applies because I am a younger mom and I have relatively little life experience for someone who is having a baby. And it was a big shock in my first trimester to try and rearrange my life vision. I had a lot of feelings of, oh my gosh, my life is ending, my life is over, I'm never going to travel again, I'm never going to do anything fun, it's going to take me 5 years to finish school. But none of that is true. And a lot of positive self-talk and rebuilding the vision of my life that I imagine for myself and that I want for myself to fit my baby in there. And to be honest, I'm looking forward more now to the future than I was before this pregnancy, because I get to see my little girl alongside with it. And she gets to see me graduate from college. She gets to see when Nicholas and I get our first house and property that we've always dreamed of. And I feel like that's something that is going to be a challenge, but it's going to be really exciting. Yeah, we don't have everything figured out yet, but our daughter will get to see us achieving our dreams and achieving our goals and all the hard work that it takes to get there. And I feel like that's going to be very good character development. So the last question I get asked a lot is, how are you feeling right now? Are you taking care of yourself? And the answer to that is pretty good and yes. In the first trimester, I would have said to you, I'm tired, everything hurts, and I'm dying. Which is more or less accurate now. I feel like after a lot of positive self-talk, rebuilding my vision of my life, I am in a better place now than I was in the first trimester. And just having my energy back and being able to eat again also really helps as well. So I'm doing good. I'm taking care of myself. I try to drink about a gallon of water a day. I take my prenatals and my iron pills 3 times a day. So physically I am doing good, and everything seems to be going well according to my doctor's visits. I am growing at an appropriate rate. My baby's anatomy scan was beautiful when we had that at 19 weeks and 6 days, but that is to be talked about in the second trimester video. And so now I'm really excited for my little girl, and I'm really excited for the journey that we have ahead. I know this is probably a pretty long video, but thank you for sticking with me if you did. I will be posting more about my pregnancy as it progresses, and I want to try and do like a birth vlog because I love watching those, but honestly I'm gonna forget. So more is to come. I can talk about being pregnant in college if anyone is interested in that, because it was a bit of a challenge. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I will see you in the next video that I make.